Today's episode is brought to you by the Vegas Beer Guys. Mike and Tom are washing their mouths out with soap because the Everything Sequel podcast contains explicit language. Walker Saga. My name is Michael Shantz of the How Dare You Awards. Joining me, the man with a plan, Tom Stewart of Lonesome Whistle Productions. Say hi, Tom.
The garbage will do.
I don't remember what that's from.
That's Rey from The Force Awakens.
Okay.
As they board the Millennium Falcon.
Oh, the garbage will do. That's right.
Yeah.
After the ship blows up.
JJ sneaking in a tacit suggestion to the audience that they should lower their expectations. The garbage will do.
That's your interpretation for sure.
Well, you know, I wouldn't put it past him. He's quite the dog whistler.
I mean, I know we're here to pitch, but should we do some housekeeping first? What do you want to do first? Do you want to?
Oh, let's keep that house.
All right. Where to begin? Did you have anything from listeners?
Oh, yeah, we can start there. Yeah. I have comments from a couple of listeners. Mainly, most of it's from one listener.
The hater?
Tim Gowan.
Is that the hater?
I was just going to say, yeah, our hate listener. Our number one hate listener. Who wrote a couple of comments on our Force Awaken episodes. I believe Tim is a listener we inherited through our Indiana Jones coverage, because I know he's one of the Listeners Crusade Facebook group members for Indiana Jones Minute, with presented by former guest of the show, Tom Taylor, whose presence on the show I need to shout out, because on the Trading Places Minute they were quite vociferous in their need that we promote them in order for them to promote us. So none of this is to do with Tom Taylor. It's to do with his aggro heavy co-hosts. And we're very happy to do so. It was a wonderful episode, Cannonball Run 2 with Tom Taylor. Check it out. And listen to Trading Places Minute as well, which is ongoing.
Whenever I mention minute-by-minute podcasts to somebody that doesn't really know a lot about podcasts,
sure,
they say, well, how does that work? So it's only a minute long? And I say, no, they talk about 1 minute for...
Imagine that. Imagine trying to do a whole movie in a minute.
Impossible for us.
If it was a Star Wars movie.
But I always can get them to go from astonished to, oh, that sounds really cool. And I'm like, yeah, check those podcasts out. They're great.
They're invented by former guest of the show, Pete the Retailer, the entire format.
Yeah.
He and Alex Robinson invented a genre of podcasting.
It's great.
So, yeah, so Tim Gowan, so I'm going to read both his comments, and yeah, we'll see where we stand after them. Thank you for listening, Tim, and thank you for commenting. We do appreciate it.
We're ready for our corporal punishment.
That's right. The first comment, which was, I believe, on our ranking episode, begins, "Oh no!" ellipses, which is not a great start. However, it does really set the tone for what comes next. Well, I'm old enough to remember when nobody liked Return of the Jedi, and the prequel trilogy is admired now by adults who saw the films as children. Plus, they were the only of the saga to have a through line, and people who went in as adults suspecting to feel the same way as their 10-year-old self were never going to be happy. As for Brick, I really liked it, and I think Double Indemnity is flawless, and you absolutely cannot see films like Knives Out on whatever PBS might have in their schedule. Ellipses. I'm now wondering if you've done a Blade Runner podcast, and am I going to have to listen to it in 20-minute segments? Which suggests that Tim... well, I say I'm bringing you into this. Most of these are my opinions. My opinions alienate him to the degree that he has to stop every 20 minutes. But,
And take a break.
But, it seems to keep coming back, so we must be doing something right.
Well, yeah.
Do you have any podcasts that you hate listen to?
I was just gonna say there's something to be said for hate listening.
Oh, I'll take hate. I'll hate listening, but it's not something that I have the patience for.
Yeah,
I don't think.
I can't say
Clearly
that
Tim
I
does.
do a lot of hate listening. But if it gets
No.
people to listen to our show, I'm all for it.
Me too, but it's impressive given that Tim seems resistant to many, if not all, of my opinions about film. That he keeps coming back, but there must be. I mean, maybe it's just the material. Maybe it's just the content we're doing.
Could be.
So,
But my guess is it's you.
we wants to hear what garbage I've come up with next.
Yeah.
Yeah. And the only thing I have to say in my I can't really defend myself when when it's a fundamental disagreement. But I usually when I'm off the beaten track with my opinions, I do usually point it out. I mean, when I said I walked out of Brick, I know that most people really like Brick and most people really like Knives Out, so I'm not. I'm under no illusions that I'm in line with the consensus of what most people feel.
True. Yeah. You point that out.
Yeah, I think so. But also, I'm not doing it to be controversial.
No, these are always your true feelings.
Yeah, that's the very least you can say.
Yeah.
Is that this? I'm not trying to be a shock jock. I'm just
right.
Whatever the podcast equivalent is, a shod pod.
A shot pod. Yeah, you really do think that Christopher Nolan has ruined cinema.
Yeah, that's not hyperbole.
Yeah. A lot of people would say he's been the only good thing in cinema for a couple of decades. With the Batman series and whatever, Inception and whatever else he's doing. All the way up until he got finally got his kudos and awards with Oppenheimer. But
yeah. I think
we know where you stand. And I'm more of a roller coaster with him, but
I think he released some of that purple flower gas into the air. around the time of
poisoned the consciousness of the
Dark Knight Rises, yeah.
Theater going public.
Mm-hmm. That's the first comment, and
yeah,
I think
give me the second.
You agree with most of that, right? I think you took me to task on the show for most of that.
Yeah.
So, okay, so there's a strand in this. The quote has begun. Okay, so there's a strand in this movie where The Force Awakens, where what went before Darth Vader, etc., has become known around the galaxy. The "how does Rey know" argument doesn't just work. I like how he just moves on to a completely different point that he disagrees with. And Kylo's like an angry teen looking for something to believe and stars himself after Vader. He's into reliquary, and he thinks he matters. Plus, you say it's a shot-for-shot remake of Episode 4 right before you go into quite a lot of decent detail, as a backhanded compliment, about how you don't actually think it is at all. Plus, that's not how technology works argument is just wrong. It's not even at this point. It's so angry with what I've said that it just not even bothering to pose a counter argument.
Yeah,
just
right.
Wrong. Because maybe a specific item, like a mouse droid, has reached its peak. The thing about droids in Star Wars is there's a whole theme about whether people respect them or not, although that might just be my headcanon. I don't think that's your headcanon, Tim. I think there is a theme about whether people respect them or not. I don't know whether that is ever definitively answered in any of the movies, though.
Yeah, I would agree with you on that. But I agree with him that it's the most present in 4, right? With the way Uncle Owen kind of treats the droids. You see that.
Well, yeah, Luke is seen as an anomaly in the generosity with which he treats droids. Everyone else just seems to think of them as, living toasters.
Mm-hmm. Except Jabba, who feels as though they're living beings that can be tortured.
And, again, you took me to task for my, what I believe you called, small point about how technology hasn't progressed in 30 years in this fictional
Yeah.
universe.
I think the amount that you cared about that was outsized.
Okay.
That's just me.
And I wouldn't have as much of an issue if this weren't science fiction.
Fine.
Yeah,
I think that's
well,
actually I'll linger on that point for another moment, because when you're making a set of films,
now there are two of them.
I mean, the first one is in 1977, right?
Yes.
So we're talking 45 years of film.
Yeah, it's supposed to be 30 years in.
But 30 years in world, I suppose. But but as a filmmaker, you want to make a film in which the things that people are looking at, people kind of recognize.
Yes.
So you want to make droids that people get. You want to, even if it's the new order or first order, or is it
First
both
order.
At some point?
No, it's just first order, and then it becomes the final order.
Does it ever
New
become
Order
the
is
new
still-
empire?
No, they haven't rebranded as such yet.
Okay.
I bet that's the subtitle of your pitch. The new
Nope.
empire. Okay. Well, without knowing what your title is, I'm going to say you should consider replacing it with that.
I hate you.
And you're not alone, apparently.
Yeah. But anyway, to, I guess, my point and his point, filmmakers are kind of in a bind that way, aren't they? You have to make something that's recognizable for the audience, and if you change it too much, then will the audience say you're changing it just to change it? But to your point, you're saying that's not how technology works, and I kind of get what you're saying, but
also it's a timeline. I think it's all that is to me necessary world building that the film refuses to do, and as such compromises itself as science fiction. And yeah, I know you can throw back at me. Well, it's as much fantasy as it is science fiction, but I don't think the fantasy includes time. Like time going faster than it does in world.
what I need is to get Neil deGrasse Tyson on board and have him discuss with us what happens to ships in outer space. Because you had a big thing about ships not getting old quick enough in 30 years. Yeah. I'd like to know what space does to ships, theoretically.
Well, we got a couple astronauts trapped in space right now. We should.
They've got nothing but time. Let's get them on the assignment.
They've got nothing but time, and they still didn't want to be on the podcast.
Yeah.
They were like, well, sorry, we're doing Marin on Thursday, and yeah,
because they're now the ones saying, "What the fuck."
I don't have a problem with suspending disbelief as long as you establish a fictional world in which you can do that. And I think that is the problem. Is that the fictional world...
What do you mean? They have to give voice to it? They have to say, hey, it's a good thing these things still work 30 years later?
No, no, because that's just a workaround. They in the same way that technology was and looked different in the prequels, it should look and be different 30 years on the other side of that equation.
That's the best argument you've come up with.
That's the argument I've been making all the time, the entire time.
Well, I'm hardly ever listening to you, Tom.
Well, I know, yeah, apparently so. But I think I said that in the ranking episode as well, and then I realized
that's true.
The loophole, and then I very quickly silenced myself, because the loophole there is that everything looks newer in the prequels.
Right.
Which is a problem.
Yeah. It's funny that I don't know why we're still talking about this. I don't know that it's as big a problem as you think it is, though, because that's when the Republic was supposed to be at the height of its power, which means everything is.
Oh, you're defending the prequels against me.
They can build
That's weird.
new shit that's shiny, as opposed to having to, let something last a little longer.
I'm just, the art of debate is to address the counter argument in your argument. So that's all I'm saying is I know that there's a vulnerability in my argument when I talk about how we should treat technology as we did in the prequels, because there's a contradiction at the heart of that as well, as everything is newer and shinier, even though it's like 30, 40 years in the past.
Yeah.
So
I'm trying to give you an out.
There are good arguments. There are good arguments on both sides. Is all I'm saying.
Never let that joke go.
No, never.
All right, what else?
When society lets the person who says it go, I'm happy to stop referring to it.
That's true. All right, what else? Anything else from?
Oh well, this is much more succinct. This actually was the comment on the sequels from an email from Keith Langford last year that I omitted when we talked about the prequels, because he went into a lot of details on prequels, and he ended the email by saying, "And the sequels are just shit." End of email. So wanted to squeeze that point of view in.
Very good.
So, in the same way that Tim Gowan gets so angry at us that he stops arguing, he stops even making counter arguments.
He has to take water breaks.
Keith Langford is also beyond the point of reason about the sequels. I sympathize. I think the whole thing is, in my mind, the whole sequel trilogy is a write-off. It's
what do you mean, like financially, like a tax write-off?
Well, could be.
At the end of it, Disney was like, just write it off. Do whatever you want, JJ.
You want to get back into tax law? No, I think overall it was a missed opportunity. So I appreciate that level of writing it off, because I think at some point you just have to.
All right. On that note, I have to confess, I got new judgments.
Judgments. I knew you had at least one new judgment, but the plural there is intriguing to me.
Yeah, I think of the three, I will still call The Force Awakens a good movie.
Okay.
I think it's the closest to a good movie, but I'm gonna call the other two bad officially. They're both bad. After talking with you about them, I feel as though I must.
I love the fact that you're doing that even with The Last Jedi, where most of the time I was trying to convince you that it was better than you thought it was.
Well, but I've come a long way since I first watched that movie.
Yeah.
And I do appreciate the swings that Rian Johnson takes, but in the end, on the whole, I still think the movie's a bit of a failure.
Yeah, I agree.
And for both movies, the things that I like just don't outweigh the poor storytelling.
Yeah.
So I'm going to call them both bad.
All right. Is it this, and what changed for Rise of Skywalker?
For both those movies, I must have been in an elated mood somehow.
Yeah.
When
which can do
watching
it,
them the second time, from the theaters to the second time, and then we had that big gap, and I felt like I had to watch them again before talking about them. And having watched them again, it was a bit of a slog. Like it was.
Yeah.
They're just. I mean, we've talked about it quite a bit. There's a veneer of good movie over these films because they're slick, they're
Veneer.
fast-paced, they look like better films than the prequels. Prequels is still bad time. I'm not defending them that much, but they're just as messy as the prequels, but just in a different way.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. Yeah, I mean, you did suggest when we were talking about The Rise of Skywalker that the gloss that the last viewing
Yeah.
had put over the movie had kind of faded. Pretty
Yeah.
quickly. Yeah. Well, that's it's a real indictment. A Star Wars movie you should enjoy more after a rewatch. I think that's the key of the original trilogy.
Well, and I'll tell you,
the more you see them.
I think this sequel trilogy, the one thing it does have pretty much across the board, except, well, and I thought at one time Benicio del Toro, but I have subsequently backtracked, like John Kerry. But but
still not a reason to re-elect George Bush, by the way.
No, correct. But you like almost across the board, there's pretty good acting going on in the trilogy sequels, and I don't think that about the prequels.
Ooh, that's a tough one.
I think there's a lot of bad acting in the prequels.
There's a lot of bad acting in the sequels.
I don't think there's a lot. I think there is some. And I don't have issues really with main characters. Daisy Ridley, love.
Yeah, still
Adam
have issues
Driver,
with the speaking
fantastic.
voice.
You have
Adam
a problem
Driver's-
with her speaking voice, but
but
I think that's a British thing you've got going on there.
Actually, it's an anti-British thing. I don't want her to be British.
Ah, I see.
I don't want to sound like, she's someone from around the corner.
See? But that's your British bias.
I suppose so.
Yeah.
It's my British bias, which is also an anti-British bias.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yes, I agree with you about Adam Driver, and I suppose he's he's the lead of the movie.
Mm-hmm.
And there's more bad writing than bad acting. I'll give you that. But there's a lot of bad acting too.
Well, who?
There's a lot of performances that don't help. Kelly Marie Tran, Domhnall Gleeson.
That's
Benicio
true.
del
He's
Toro,
not good.
Space
But
Laura Dern.
But for the most part, those are smaller roles.
Not as small as the, well, not well. That's but that's kind of part of the problem too. Is that they're small roles because the movie doesn't know what to do with them.
Yeah.
But the acting is so bad that you're also weirdly grateful for that.
Mm-hmm.
It's just like you say, they're a mess, and the writing and performing of characters is often a mess. There's not much of a clear through line with either. I think the closest we get, what am I talking about? The closest we get to that is Adam Driver, but that's performance only.
Mm-hmm.
That's because he's written really, really badly.
Yeah, I agree.
So,
all right.
Yeah. So, well, I realized that in talking to you about The Last Jedi, it has a couple of all-time great Star Wars moments in it.
Yeah.
Which made me kind of think twice about my ranking.
Mm.
No, my declaration.
Your declaration?
Not my ranking, because it's right at the top of the list for me. But I don't think it.
But a couple of individual moments, it's not enough.
Yeah, but they are like honestly. I put the
Holdo maneuver. Yeah.
And from my own personal perspective, they're two of the most exciting moments I've experienced in a cinema, probably in the last decade.
Mm-hmm.
And they're both in the same film. But I think...
What's the other one?
Snoke being sliced in two.
Oh, yeah.
Just for pure, because so little surprises me
Yeah.
in a movie anymore, and that
I
was
was
a genuine
surprised.
surprise. That was a genuine surprise, and the Holdo maneuver was a genuinely transcendent moment that
Mhm.
became a shared experience. Was designed to be a shared cinematic experience, and those are both cinematic rarities now. So it just makes me think twice, because this one movie has those two extraordinary moments in them, but I still
Mhm.
don't think it enough, because in the end it is a couple of moments.
Yeah, I agree.
Oh, I suppose in throwing the lightsaber away, I wouldn't put it up there with those other two moments, but I'm a sucker for
But
a
you
bold
like it a
beginning.
lot.
Yeah, I'm a sucker for a bold beginning and a filmmaker who kind of sets their agenda
Mhm.
early on, and I think Rian Johnson, for all his flaws, did both.
Okay.
But not enough to call it a good movie, sadly. There's too much clunking it up.
Very good then.
Yeah, we still and we have to rank this against the rest of the Skywalker saga as well.
That's pretty easy.
It is for me too. Well, go on. Well, no. Tell me why you think it's easy. Where do you put these movies?
Well, I mean, the original recipe is
Sure.
still right at the top, so that part is
Absolutely.
simple, simple, simple.
Mm-hmm.
So I'll say 2, 1, 3.
Wait. No, I mean against the prequels and
Right.
2, 1, 3. I don't know
Well,
what 2, 1, 3 means.
Episode 2. Oh, sorry, not 2, 1, 3. This is the problem with Star Wars. I meant,
Yeah.
I was talking about films made, not the actual episode numbers. So 5, 4, 6.
Okay. And this is all above the sequels.
Yes.
The prequels.
Yes, of course.
All the sequels are above the well, not yes, of course. I'm doing.
Oh, so I'm
I
still
don't
talking
agree.
original recipe. I'm talking Empire, Star Wars, Jedi,
Yeah,
top of the top list.
and then
Okay.
and what's next?
What is next?
Oh, you were prevaricating. Okay, yeah.
Oh, what do I care more about, Tom? Maybe it's not as easy as I thought. I'm going to go Force Awakens next.
Yeah, well, that makes sense because you called it a good movie, and
Yeah,
everything below that is bad for you.
correct. Now,
Now,
why does The Force Awakens, not The Force Awakens, why does The Phantom Menace start inching up and intriguing me?
it's the sins of the grandparents versus the sins of the grandchildren.
Yeah. Ooh, you're a prequel apologist. I think I'm a sequel apologist.
That's what it says on my business card.
Yep. I still think I would go
Don't get a lot of work.
7, 8, 9.
Yeah.
And then 1, 2, 3.
Yeah, that makes sense. I'll flip that. I'll flip that on its head.
2?
Yeah. So Attack of the Clones, followed by Phantom Menace, followed by Revenge of the Sith, which I still think is more of an accomplishment than any of these movies. Last Jedi, Force Awakens, Rise of Skywalker, right at the bottom.
Okay.
It's interesting. I heard, ironically, on a Star Trek podcast, Matt Myra talking about the Rise of Skywalker, and he played the somehow Palpatine returned clip, and he said, is there a crazier big budget movie than the Rise of Skywalker? Because they're a big budget mainstream like calendar movie,
Right.
franchise movie that is as nuts as Rise of Skywalker, and I can't think of one.
Yeah, I don't know. Not on that level. No, not on that level.
No, and that I don't think so. I don't with that big a property.
Yeah, right. Some big ass failure movies came to mind, like what was that called with McConaughey, Sahara?
Mm-hmm.
But that's not.
Well, there's also, but depending on your opinion, either of the last Indiana Jones films.
Indiana Jones, sure.
Especially Chris. I suppose the prequels themselves, but I think the difference with the prequels is they work on their own terms more than these movies work on their own terms. These movies contradict themselves far more than the prequels do when it comes to internal consistency.
That's the only thing that makes me slightly pause in my rankings.
Yeah.
Is that there's a uniformity of vision in those prequels that I just happen not to like.
Yeah. And I don't always jibe with it either, but I recognize it for what it is.
Yeah.
Going back to Superman 3, it's like everyone's on the same page. I'm not saying I'm reading this book, but everyone is on the same page. But no one is on the same page in any department of this movie. If you told me that no one who made this movie ever met each other, I believe you.
Right.
They just turned up at the premiere. Were like, "Oh, you did that? Well, that's gonna screw up my thing later on."
I have a different idea, thank you.
Yeah. Oh, you're not gonna like the ending I added onto that.
Right. What's funny about it is it seems to be of JJ's own making too. He seemed to be completely in charge. He could have directed that second movie if he wanted to, but instead he gave it to someone else.
Yeah, I wonder what the story is behind that. Disney are pretty close-lipped when it comes to behind the scenes.
Mm-hmm.
So I think I feel like it's something that we'll find out like in another 30 years what actually went down when they're sort of they're historically forced to enter the production documents into the archives,
right?
And we get a look from them, but Disney are basically gonna keep that information under lock and key as long as possible, because I bet there's memos pointing to a real shit show.
Yeah, right.
You just know it. And that that doesn't even factor in Rogue One, which I think was the most troubled of all of these. Well, Solo. Both of the Star Wars stories, Solo and Rogue One, were both extremely troubled productions too. So, yeah.
But oddly, in my mind, less troubled on screen.
Agreed. Yeah, for both, I would say. Mm-hmm. Just more straightforward. But then I suppose the counter argument is they only have to tell one very specific story,
mm-hmm.
versus what these other movies have to do.
Yeah, but
they have to tell multiple stories, some of which are serial strands that come from decades ago, both in world and on screen.
Yeah, right.
It's hard. It's not an easy task, but there's got to be a more coherent way to do it.
It's hard to make a good movie, I agree, but does it have to be that hard?
I don't know. I don't think so. I really don't think so. You look at original recipe Star Wars, and it's a very simple, straightforward story.
Right. For some reason, when I think of Star Wars movies, I also think of James Carville in 1992 saying, "It's the economy, stupid."
Okay.
Like in my mind, it's just, it's just like, keep it simple, stupid. Don't go too crazy. Just keep it simple.
I wonder if that quote will be eclipsed by his latest, which is Kamala Harris will never be president.
Yeah. He's become more honorary.
Mm-hmm.
In the opposite direction.
Yeah.
All
okay,
right, well,
there we go.
Time to pitch, right?
It is, yeah.
What?
Let's throw those first pitches.
Was it a sloppy mess for you?
Was it a sloppy mess?
You've been wanting the Jedi to stop making movies since 1983.
I mean, my fallback for Star Wars is the same as it. My default position is always the same, which is I try and tack on a famous piece of genre fiction.
Mm-hmm.
To my Star Wars pitch.
And so
the last time when I did the was it the pre? Let me see. No, the original trilogy I stole the plot of Infernal Affairs.
Mm-hmm.
What did I do for the prequels? What did I steal for what did I steal for that?
Tom, I don't even remember what I did.
I actually really don't remember. Revenge of the Sith. Yeah, I have no idea. No, I can't remember what it is, but I'm sure I stole. Let us know, listeners, what my pitch was for that. But I'm sure I liberally borrowed something from a 40s or 50s movie.
So for this, did you go straight to the Rockford Files, since that's what you're currently watching?
That's what I'm currently watching. Yeah. So Finn becomes a private investigator in the planet of Bel Air, and oh, that's right. You got it. You unlocked the mystery. Obi-Wan Private Eye. That's what I did.
Yes.
It was a pilot. It was literally the Rockford Files.
It was.
It was Obi-Wan is a private detective.
I solved your
on Tatooine.
Which almost felt like it ended up happening with Ben Kenobi.
Well, it was after, but it was after.
It came out. Okay.
It was after it came out. It was basically a riposte to what that show should have been.
Yeah, right.
It was crying out to be. So yeah, I totally, and I didn't realize I'd done exactly the same until you just asked me how I went about it.
That's what we do, is open up the goddamn mystery boxes, people.
Yeah, that's it. We solve a mystery. In my version of Star Wars, the mysteries are solved.
Yes.
So yeah, I've kind of I've retreated into some kind of legacy aspects of Star Wars, and then tacked on a famous piece of genre fiction.
I feel like
which is what I've done for all of these.
Yeah, I feel like I'm in the same ballpark. I don't know how strong my genre fiction actually is within the film.
Yeah.
I hope it's there, but who knows?
Well, probably the well, not the only reason why mine won't be made into actual movies, but one of the reasons why is probably too on the nose, and Star Wars does a better job of keeping it general.
Mm-hmm.
So there's not one particular movie you're thinking about, but you're thinking about Western samurai movies, World War II dogfight movies. But I'm kind of pulling from specific texts within a genre. I seem to be.
All right.
Yeah. But let's. Okay. Well, you can start this time. I feel like I'm always kicking things off.
I'm too scared to start.
No. Well, it's you gotta once in a while.
So
you can't take the heat every time. And I basically told you what I'm doing, so yours is more of a surprise.
All right. Well, as you previously guessed, I got a problem with my title.
You know, I struggled with the title. To don't worry too much about this, because I'm not happy with my title either.
In all honesty, it's fine. It's fine as a title. The problem is that it's drafting. It's drafting off of apes.
Okay.
Because I entitled it...
Oh my god. Oh dear.
Do we have the same title?
Ever, we might have the same title.
Well, I
just realized that I'm drafting off apes too.
Okay. Well, here's mine. Mine was Dawn of the Jedi Order.
Okay. You went for modern day apes.
Modern day apes.
Yeah. Dawn of the Jedi. That's the best title you've ever come up with. I know that the bar is low with the titles of this trilogy, but you've outdone them with one.
All right, then.
One stroke. Dawn of the Jedi is great.
Well, I said Dawn of the Jedi Order. Should I cut it off?
It's so funny because Dawn of the Jedi sounds like a Star Wars movie. Dawn of the Jedi Order sounds like a spin-off novel.
Yeah,
and it's just one word difference, but yet immediately it changes medium as soon as you say that.
So here's the problem I had with the title. I wanted to add... Originally, I had Dawn of the Jedi, and I added Order because... But actually, both titles have the same problem, because it makes it sound like a prequel. And it's not. It makes it sound like the beginning of the Jedi Order. But what it is the beginning of a new Jedi Order that Rey is starting.
But still, like, the briefer is better, and also the title doesn't have to have anything to do with the movie in Star Wars for about 6 movies now. So I think you're on firm ground here.
Okay, fine. You know what's funny is as I started writing it, I realized that I wrote 3 paragraphs that could essentially be the crawl.
Oh, well, give us the crawl.
Well, I'll have to. I need some filler words. Like, so essentially I was saying...
look at Rise of Skywalker. They did not talk in full sentences.
Well,
By the way,
go ahead.
I've just got one more follow-up question.
Yeah.
Just because we're talking about crawls. Are we... I don't want to... I feel like this is going to be a thorny subject. This is a can of worms I'm opening here.
Go ahead.
Based on your previous opinions about this. Will there be episode 10 in your title?
No, of course not.
Okay.
Don't worry.
This is
they'll add the 10 later. They'll do that on their own.
You just want to be on record that wasn't in your original title.
Yeah, no, it wouldn't say Star Wars Episode 10, Dawn of the Jedi. Not for me.
It's pretty still.
But then once
legitimate.
I turned the script in, Disney would say, okay, so we'll just call it Star Wars Episode 10, Dawn of the Jedi.
My first note is on page 1, by which I mean the title page.
All right. Well, what I'd written was like a new republic had risen. So if I was going to put it in crawl form, I would say it is a time filled with hope as a new republic has risen after the fall of the First Order. Or First Order? First Order.
Is that what it says on the crawl?
Yeah. No, not all of it. Yes.
First Order.
First Order. First Order.
First Order, question mark, ... First Order.
Already, it's the best movie in the series, if it said that.
It's just like it's pure transcription. Wait, is it New Order? No, it's First Order. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, what was the second one? Final Order. Okay, Final Order. But it's not that. This is a new...
Oh, that's too good.
A new republic.
I don't know. I can't put this in crawl
That's
form.
Fine.
But
basically,
we're
you
focusing.
got my attention.
Yeah, we're focusing on democracy and inclusion. They're of paramount importance for this fledgling government. They want to bring the galaxy together. And to assist them, Rey Skywalker has this. You're going to love this because it goes to everything we've been talking about that the Jedi should not do. But to assist them, Rey Skywalker has started a new Jedi Order. I put has started a new Jedi Order on Coruscant if it didn't blow up like Tom says it did.
Oh, that's so that's so funny. Because my pitch also involves Coruscant and also assumes that was not the planet that was blown up.
Okay. I said that she's head of a Jedi Council of 3 whose only promise is to help defend the new democracy and never to make decisions for it.
Oh, good luck with that.
Yeah.
We all know how that turned out.
So, and then part of the story was like, in the meantime, Finn has grown within the Force enough to request training by the Jedi Knights. And ensuring that her friend is ready, Rey has taken his training on herself as her Padawan.
Yeah.
In hopes of seeing him reach his full potential. And in the midst of all that, a disturbance in the Force will threaten the fragile peace that has just begun for this fledgling democracy.
Wow.
Crawl.
That's the crawl, okay. That's great. Quite a great start.
So we open with like an epic lightsaber battle, and it's between Rey and Finn.
Whoa, you're not wasting any time.
Yeah, I want to jump right into it. But
slow motion?
No slow motion. None. Not an ounce of slow motion.
Turn that slow motion up an ounce.
Yeah, I don't like the prequels, but I'll give it to them for the Duel of the Fates.
Yeah.
And even their last lightsaber battle, like, I think I said it in these episodes, those fuckers are working in those, you know, the actual actors are working, and that's what I wanted to see here.
That's how you know it's real.
But within it, yeah, within it, I want it to look as though Rey is giving him everything she's got. You know, she's floating rocks at him. They're throwing stuff at each other. Kind of like
Empire?
Big silver objects off the walls in Empire that Vader does, that kind of shit.
Mm-hmm.
And all in an attempt to just kind of get the upper hand on each other. But there are like flips, but more like Luke in Empire flips and not Rey.
Yeah.
And Kylo, Rise of Skywalker, leaps.
Yeah.
Just something that looks more grounded and real, which is the stuff that I like.
Yeah.
And it's just like this epic battle between the two of them. And suddenly she knocks his lightsaber away and kind of points hers at his chest, and she asks, "Yield?"
Ooh.
And he's on the ground, kind of like that moment in Empire where Luke's on the ground and Vader's like, "You're beaten. Stop it," you know? And what I thought of was Finn could do that little snap, like unnoticeable to everyone except us in the audience, that snap thing that Ben Kenobi does in Star Wars, and it distracts Rey just enough for him to get his lightsaber and get the upper hand, and now he's disarmed her and says, "Do you yield?" And she says yes. So she says, "You done well." He shrugs it off like it's nothing, and she says, "I always sense unease with you. Why is that?" And
because I love you.
So now we get in. Wait, Tom, it's coming.
So sorry. I mean, that's the obvious reason, no?
He starts talking about he started so late. He just wants to be of service. She says, "Of course you have been. You helped save this galaxy. Blah 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 blah. And you have to believe in yourself." And
you dealt with that little tower.
Yeah.
That nearly destroyed the galaxy.
Well, they shut down the little tower on their own. He had to shoot the other tower with his new girlfriend.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, she's going to say you have to believe in yourself. You have to believe the light within you. And she puts her hand on his chest. And she says, I still feel your uneasiness. Why? And he's going to just tell her it's because I'm in love with you. And so we're going to deal with this finally after 3 movies of not dealing with it. And I just sort of like the idea of her like taking her hand off of his chest and not realizing that that was a part of it. And they're kind of like school kids.
I'd love it if she immediately beheaded him at that point. Just to save herself an awkward conversation.
Whew, glad that's over with.
Yeah.
But I figured everybody can relate because everybody's said, I like you to someone that's like, I don't feel that way about you at all. Mm. But instead, what she actually does is says, this, we can't do that. I'm your master. You're my Padawan. And it's all in Jedi language, but basically she's saying there's a power imbalance. It's not appropriate. That kind of thing. And
I care about you as a friend.
Yeah. And as they're walking away, I thought I wanted to have a bit about him asking her how hard were you on me in that fight? Maybe this should come beforehand. And she says, no, I was like at 90%. It's like, really? Well, no, more like 75%. He's like, fuck. Like, I'm never going to, I can't do this. I'm never going to be ready for the trials. And she tells him, you're already ready for the trials and you're going to start that soon. Don't worry about it. But you have to, you just have to unblock yourself or get rid of the unbalance inside you. But part of his unbalance is that he's in love with her.
Yeah, you can't beat those Palpatine genes.
Yeah, exactly. Ooh, that's coming up as well.
Oh.
Anyway, at this moment, Rey feels, a stir within the Force, and she says, did you feel that? And you can see that Rey's like just a couple seconds behind, where he has to kind of search for it and then find it, just to denote where he is in his Jedi training. And then the other two... the other two council members appear with a new Jedi Knight.
Oh. So, okay. So the council, what's their nomination process?
Well, that's the thing that we're going to come in with a new Jedi Council, but only 3 strong. This is the very beginning of, they're just building this Jedi temple. I don't imagine, or at least I didn't picture it with like lots of little kids all over the place and that kind of thing. They keep saying that there's no Jedi, so I want there to not be a lot of Jedi around. And so even just this Jedi...
Sounds good to me.
Even this Jedi just showing up is unusual.
Yeah.
Like a full Jedi. And so... they introduce him. He's just arrived. He's got a story about being on the Outer Rims during this last war. She's got questions like, who did you train with? I don't have good answers for that because I don't think I know Star Wars enough. I remember originally thinking about, who's the guy that created the clone armies? Sifo Dyas?
He's dead.
He's dead, but I mean, what I was thinking of, like an unknown child lineage, like his line.
Okay. Sifo Dyas the Third.
Yeah, that kind of thing. Anyway, I don't know if that works or not, but
I'm sure JJ would all be in favor of another Nepo baby.
Exactly. The theme I wanted to play with here was the idea of a woman who knows when a man is bad and nobody will listen to her.
Yeah.
Because these other council members...
The hymn of our times.
Yeah, exactly. So, the other
it's the
council
Kamala Harris
members...
story.
The other council members are saying, this is great, we can put him on the council. And she's the head of the council, so she says, no, I don't want to do that yet. I think we should know more about him. And what?
Let's do a Google search. At the very least. Reverse Google search him.
Upon having met each other, I had this idea of him saying part of his pitch to her was that he thinks that original Jedi Order meddled too much in politics.
Yeah.
And she says, I agree. So we can at least address that the Mace Windus and Yodas of the world were too involved, that kind of thing.
I love that your pitch has a pitch within it.
Yeah, exactly. And he's saying it was that meddling that led to the Emperor.
Mm-hmm.
And then he says something akin to like there are whispers that he's your grandfather. Is that true? She admits it, and he shows a lot of understanding and caring, and she says we each get to make our own choice on our paths, don't we? And he agrees.
That's a good halfway house between the two explanations of her parentage.
Right.
Yes.
And then all of a sudden, within the scope of this new government, there's a kind of Trojan horse ship that lands with robots that it's almost like aliens when they come out of the walls. Like these things come out and unleash and try to start assassinating members of the Senate, and the Jedi sense it and stop it. And this Jedi is sort of a hero. And now the council's like, what do you think? And she goes, no, I'm not bringing this to a vote. And because of what she's sensing within the Force itself, she wants to do some investigation, and she orders Finn to keep an eye on this guy while doing his trials.
Ooh, that's that again. Has she learned nothing from the history of the Jedi? The last time they did this, they ended up with Darth Vader.
I know. So that's essentially the first act. The second act is her kind of tracing his steps and then finding a Darth, a member of the Sith.
Yeah.
While we're watching Finn complete his trials, because we never see any of that shit. It's always just talked about.
Yeah. So anything beyond the onion and can you see a speeder behind my screen?
Right.
That's what we need to know about the Jedi trials.
Yeah. So anyway, what I wanted to set up was that sort of but admittedly, I admit fully that this is a problem. I wanted that kind of murder mystery feel.
That's not a problem.
Well, the problem is I have so few characters. Who else could it be but this Jedi who has...
But is it?
It is. He has nefarious ideas.
Okay.
But what I wanted to set up was this idea of, even though I don't think the sequel trilogy denotes this quite good enough, that Rey and her abilities were kind of even beyond Luke Skywalker. I think that's what they were going for. But I want this Jedi on that level, so much so that he can mask who he is within the Force. And cannot.
He's a Sith.
He's a Sith, and she cannot sense his dark side, but she senses something's off.
But it's not been done. That variation hasn't been done before. We've had Palpatine, who was kind of hiding, a Sith hiding out in the government.
Yeah,
but we've not had a Sith hiding out in the Jedi yet.
Exactly.
That we know of. I'm sure they've done it in one of Clone Wars or something. Rebels.
All right, settle down. So, in the end, what we have is her finding, because the Sith are always in two, so she finds the other one. And the plan, like he had that plan from the beginning, was for her to sense enough to go look for his past and for his, what do they call, is it apprentice on the other side? Is that just what they call him? Not Padawan?
A master. Yeah, a master and an apprentice.
Master and apprentice.
Only two there are.
And he's supposed to kill her.
Always two there are, not only two there are. That's our reading of it.
Yeah.
Only two there are?
Why?
Why?
But she dispenses with him right as he's murdering those other two council members, but convincing Finn that it was done by somebody else that they have to find. And it's kind of up to, like, you know, he's doing that Palpatine type thing where he's trying to undermine from behind the scenes.
Yeah.
And his hope is that he can either turn Finn or else he'll have to kill him. And when he decides he has to kill him, Rey gets back and we have a big epic battle and
wow,
the good come. And it ends with Finn and Rey talking, and in the end he's going to say, you know, we've lost a lot. And she's going to say, yeah, I've made mistakes. I made a lot of mistakes. And then they're going to turn to each other, and she's like, I made one mistake for sure. And right at the moment that they're about to lock lips in a kiss,
wow.
End movie.
Well, that movie has everything.
I think so.
See, it's not that hard. That's a great pitch. That's one of my favorite pitches of yours.
Excellent.
That's really good. I think our pitches cover a lot of the same ground, but thankfully, for the listeners' sake, in very different ways.
All right.
So, yeah, we're in the same. We're dealing with the same kind of part of the timeline, I think.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
But dealing with it in very different ways.
I don't think I said this, but I imagine this sort of, you know, a few years after the end of 9. Starting.
Yeah, and that's the good thing about having the crawl. You don't have to say anything.
Yeah.
You can just imply it through action. How long it's been. Bounty Hunter and Old Mandel. So it's been, you're like, oh, okay, so it's been a little bit of a while. That's great screenwriting. Right. Well, my the title for my pitch, which I'm less happy with than yours, is Star Wars : and that's it. No, it's a reboot. I'm rebooting 77.
You can stop talking. We're done.
All CGI, right? Completely digital, everything. Yeah. Now, the trench run is everyone but Luke is a Gungan. No. Star Wars : Battle for the Galaxy. So you see where I'm drafting in the apes.
Yes.
But it also... The battle...
It sounds kind of like, you know, it's pretty close to Battle of the Network Stars.
Well, any opportunity for cross-promotion.
There you go.
So we'll have, you know, Lou Ferrigno as a stormtrooper.
Mm-hmm.
You know, that kind of thing. I don't know why I immediately went to Lou Ferrigno. I was just like, especially as I've been watching the Rockwood Files and I could pull any number of names there.
Right.
I went straight to the Incredible Hulk. Yeah, so Star Wars Battle for the Galaxy. I don't have a crawl.
Okay.
And the episode is purposefully missing because this is a continuation, but a continuation of the storyline, but shouldn't be considered as part of the Skywalker saga.
Yeah, I mean, in all actuality, I mean, I was just drafting off you, but I don't even consider mine an episode actual 10. It just happens to continue with Rey's story.
It's a pretty good episode 10 though, whereas mine I don't think is. Mine is more of a standalone. It's kind of it's a breakwater for whatever they want to do next.
Mm-hmm.
But I do have on-screen text that begins the movie. So obviously you get them as you always do, a long, long time ago in a galaxy far, far away.
Mm-hmm.
And then the ellipses pick up with a whole nother season. And then it interfades with... No, sorry, I got it wrong. It goes ellipses, a whole nother year, and then it interfades with, but only one more season. I want to do an interfade like Haddonfield Halloween, basically, with those two lines. And then we're back on Tatooine, where Rey is foraging mushrooms from a moisture evaporator.
Hey.
And she is
mushrooms to get high on?
Well, she's set upon, to our eyes as the viewer, by a gang/tribe. We'll keep those options open, of Tusken Raiders.
Oh, nice.
And so, as you know, any prequel lovers in the audience will be thinking, "Oh no, is Rey about to befall the fate of her adopted grandmother, Shmi Skywalker?"
Yeah.
And of course, it's all a fake out, because she is in fact bringing the mushrooms to a cookout that she's having with the Tusken Raiders. And
nice.
So the next thing they bring so basically that she throws down the mushrooms, they throw down the bantha meat, and the next thing we see is like a campfire cookout with them up all night telling stories, drinking whatever diesel fuel the sand people drink to get drunk.
Pretty racist, Tom.
But that's the thing. I buried the lead here, because the first thing we're going to see before we pan down to the mushrooms is the twin sunsets, because this is happening at sunset. So I'm going to see the twin. So essentially picking up exactly where we left off.
We left her on that planet.
Yeah, with the sun setting. I've just realized that BB-8 was there, and I don't have anything for him to do. Oh well, I don't know. He rusted. The Jawas got him. Yeah, we'll work in some dialogue at some point about, it's like, what happened to poor BB-8?
Yeah.
The Jawas got him on a nighttime run. Nighttime droid run. But anyway, she spends the night hanging out with the Tusken Raiders. And then next thing we see is the twin suns rise. And dirty stop out that she's heading back to the homestead. And she's greeted in the doorway of the homestead by her Force Ghost foster parents, as you will. Luke Skywalker.
You need not resign for that one, sir.
is straddling the doorway, saying, "What time do you call this, young lady?" And of course, she just walks right through him. And everywhere she goes in the homestead, either Force Ghost Luke and Force Ghost Leia are asking her questions about, what have you been doing? Why are you still here? It's been a whole year. You should be out there. They're forming a new galactic government. You should be a part of that. You brought down the first/final order. And so we'll have lots of scenes of her going around like.
Does she say, "Well, you've got quite a bit of turnaround, Mr. Just Fish on a fucking island"?
Well, that's it. Yeah, that's the whole conflict. And he's like, "Did you learn nothing from my mistakes? You're going to do the same thing all over again and isolate yourself?" And of course, we'll have some business with her making breakfast and opening opening pantry doors, and then Luke and Leia's Force Ghost's face will be through there. And basically, they're telling you, you have to get back into galactic politics. You have to train a new generation of Jedi to secure peace for the galaxy.
Yeah, it always works out so well.
It always but she's just saying, I want to. It's like, have I not earned this time to myself to learn who I am? And Luke, it's like I didn't, I grew up here and I didn't even want to be here. So why are you making me? He's like, now I'm dead. Why are you making me stay here?
You don't have to be here. You could go Force Ghost visit someone else.
Well, no, but they could, but they're her, they're her mentors. she adopted them in the final shot of Rise of
Are you
Skywalker.
sure? You keep saying them, but you're only talking about Luke. You sure you want to do an AI Leia?
Luke and Leia, yeah. No, I've mentioned Leia's going to be there too. It's Luke and Leia.
I know, but I'm
Their
saying,
mother.
are you sure you want to go with AI Leia?
That's the difference. We have a time machine. We can bring her back from the dead without
That's
making
true.
a digital desecration avatar.
All right.
That's our advantage of pitching these sequels. So we've established that's the beginning of the film. We've established that. We go to back to Coruscant. This is such forward momentum. Going back to Tatooine and now Coruscant. We're working our way back through the Skywalker saga.
You and me both, brother.
So it wasn't Coruscant that got blown up, and so as the planet that wasn't blown up, this is where they're establishing the new galactic government. And we go into a meeting where we see, the formation of the new High Council of the New Republic, which they're trying to rebrand the Ultimate Republic.
New Republic, who dis?
Yeah, exactly. And it's everyone. It's Finn, it's Poe, Rose. Basically everyone who survived the attack on Exegol and was instrumental in it are all the heads of the council. At one point, I was going through this. I was writing this out, and then I realized that Leia was dead. But she was just like, so we need some new faces.
Yeah.
Leading the government, and of course Finn is it's like Rey should be back by now. We've kept a seat for her on the council. She's going to be the inspiration of the New Republic. She's going to be the role model, but she's not here. And basically, what's happening is they're having a meeting with the elected representatives of the group who arrived as the cavalry on Exegol. They've all of the people who turned up have elected representatives to get their voice heard. So so they're coming to this meeting, and during this meeting they want to talk about what they want out of the New Republic. That's what the council understand the meeting's going to be about. But when these guys arrived, it turns out that they've elected a handful of galactic gang lords. And what they reveal is that that rather than reaching out to them appealing to their altruism, what Lando actually did was offered them a piece of whatever new government came along.
That's amazing.
Yeah. And so everyone who turned up was implicitly promised an entire system, the governorship of an entire system.
Let me tell you what I'm willing to give.
Which explains why they came that time and not because Leia didn't offer any land incentives. So these gang lords are saying, this is what Lando offered us. And, and Finn and Poe and the rest of the council and Rose are like, we had no idea he did this, but look, we overthrew this evil empire. You would have been much worse off over them, and we can't give you this. We want you to be involved in government, and we can look at giving you a seat on the council. And obviously these gang lords are like, well, you're gonna give you an ultimatum, basically. It's like you have X amount of time, whatever. There'll be a timeline that'll be adjusted to what seems realistic to decide whether you're going to give us what was promised to us. Otherwise, we're going to take it for ourselves and stage a coup and overthrow the government here on Coruscant, and then divide up the galaxy between us. So obviously that changes things. Instead of forming the new government, now they essentially have to defend Coruscant against a coup. So Finn's like, I can't wait any longer. He goes to Tatooine. He goes to Tatooine. He senses Rey on Tatooine, and he goes there to tell her that it's like, I understand you're taking your time, but now, we have X amount of time before Coruscant is attacked. We need you to we need you to at least start forming a Jedi army to defend us.
Right.
But X amount of time isn't enough time to forge a Jedi army, as Rey says. It's like, it's nothing I can do. So I can't. It takes.
I can't conjure them.
Yeah, it takes. This is a project that's going to take years for them to be even basically competent.
Yeah.
And so she consults Luke and Leia, who tell her the story of the legend of the 7 Jedi.
Ooh.
Who defended the temple against a group of marauders to secure peace in the galaxy. And she said, and Luke says, you can look to that story. That's how you're going to save the new government against this coup. And she said, well, this is a legend, so this is something that happened, or some variation happened in the past. How can it also be the future? And she said, well, it's a Jedi legend, and Jedi legends are not retellings of old stories, because the Jedi can see the future. They're prophecies of what will be.
Mm.
And says you have to go out, and it says you and 6 other Jedi will defend the Jedi Temple, in the legend is the Jedi Temple, but in the actual story is going to be Coruscant.
Mm-hmm.
The new Jedi, where they'll establish the new Jedi Temple against this coup of the gang. I don't know if Lando's gonna be in this, or he's gonna just be referred to by name. I kind of like the idea that they just refer to the fact of what he did, but he's not. He's scarpered, right? He's gone. It's like no one's heard from Lando. As soon as Rise of Skywalker was over, it's like let's go find out where you're from, little girl. I'm just gonna warm up the spaceship, and then just the next thing you see,
out of here,
he flies away. No one's ever heard from him since. So anyway, so you can see what piece of genre fiction I'm pulling from at this point, right? Yeah. Seven Samurai, Magnificent Seven, which I believe was also remade in a sci-fi context as Battle Beyond the Stars, right?
I think so. I think that's right.
So that's where I got my battle from, even though it also dovetailed with the Apes titles. So basically she's got to come up with 7 Jedi who'll defend Coruscant, and I'm still trying to figure out, like your Cypher Diaz problem, I'm trying who the 7 Jedi will be. Broom Boy will be one of them.
I had an idea of having Broom Boy at training, and I'm
burying the lead as well, because of course Finn, he's Force sensitive enough.
Yeah,
he's gonna be the Steve McQueen to her Yul Brynner.
Mm-hmm.
And they're gonna go out into the galaxy and try and find. I mean, Baby Yoda's a must,
right?
Because he's, grown Grogu. I guess you could call him at this point.
I was gonna say, be all grows up now, or is still a baby, or even born yet? Aren't we before?
No, this is after. He was born in He was born. He was 50. When he first appears in Mandalorian, which is like 5-10 years after
5-10 years after Jedi. Yeah.
So now he's not even a tenth of his life.
Okay.
Is gone. So, we've got grown Grogu's gonna be one of them. Broom Boy and Finn, and 3 others. 3 other Jedi.
You'll do it prequel style, where they're just there.
Yeah, it'll be like the Simpsons, where the existing Jedi's head will just spin when you say it. 3 other Jedis. So anyway, then the rest of the movie is essentially the 7 Samurai, where they're kind of they and the people who live on Coruscant work together to foil this coup. These space January 6s.
Space Sixers.
And of course, yeah, as in that movie, they win, but at great costs. I think in only 2 survived in the original. How many of the 7 survived? Was it 2?
It's been a while.
Yeah, it's not many.
Actually,
of them,
I've been
is it?
meaning to
Maybe
rewatch
3?
it.
Maybe 3.
Maybe 2 sounds right
Yeah.
to me though.
And obviously, I'm not killing off baby Yoda.
Yeah, don't do
That's
that.
not. Ain't gonna. That
It's
ain't
not
gonna
good
happen.
for your
So
brand.
So whatever genre picture I'm pulling from, Baby Yoda has to survive. But we might lose. We might have to lose. So it's. I think in the end it's Yul Brynner and Horst Buchholz, which would mean the equivalent would be Broom Boy, who would survive because he's the youngest. But I guess Baby Yoda is the youngest in his lifetime, so it'll be
Right.
maybe we'll kill Finn.
Yeah.
I think Finn will have to be our sacrificial lamb.
Go ahead and take a big swing.
Yeah. But anyway, obviously they preserve democracy for the next generation, and the end of the movie is them establishing the new government on Tatooine. No, it's not. I just thought of that. They're like, well, everything in the universe happens here anyway, so let's start the government from here. No, they'll stay on Coruscant. So anyway, that is Star Wars Battle for the Galaxy.
Battle for the Galaxy. You should call it Star Wars Battle for the Stars. Just have stars twice.
That really does sound like it's a reality show.
It sounds like and at the end of the credits
That's a palindrome.
At the end of the credits it'll say, and in the center square, Poland.
You're essentially asking me to turn my title into a palindrome.
Yes.
Star Wars Battle for the Stars is Star Wars both forwards and backwards.
Forwards and backwards.
Yeah, that's why I think I considered that, but I was like, you can't have stars twice, and essentially the subtitle is the same as the title.
Yeah.
So it goes Star Wars Battle for the Galaxy.
That's good.
There you go.
I like it.
Yeah, it's on brand for me. But it's
Sorry, just the way you said that. For me.
On brand for me to plagiarize.
Mm-hmm.
Add plagiarism into my Star Wars pitch, but
Good writers borrow, great writers steal outright. Which in and of itself is a stolen line.
Yeah. But obviously, like, I thought about what is the generic heritage of Star Wars. Samurai movies, westerns.
Yeah.
What's the most famous combination thereof? And it's the 7 Samurai
Absolutely.
story. So we could just replace Samurai with Jedi, and it writes itself.
Clearly. All right, we put the work in.
Yeah, yours was, you put more work in this time, but I think we both showed up for this one.
Yeah, it's good stuff. Well, that leaves you, audience. First of all, what do you think of these pitches? But secondly, do you have your own? What would you do with Rey in a 10th film? Kinda, sorta. 10th
What would
film.
Get your Rey movie pitches on record, and we'll compare them to what may or may not happen with it.
I was reading the other day, this can't be right, but I was reading the other day that the Rey movie was supposed to start production like this past June or something like that.
And has it?
I don't know.
It can't have already started production.
No way. I think I would have heard of it. And I mean, I remember her talking about it. She was on Smartless.
She read a script, yeah.
And she had like read a script and it was great and she loves it, but
Did she say that?
She did.
Did she say it was great? She loves it? Oh,
yes.
She did, okay. She also said it wasn't what I was expecting.
Oh, I don't
which
know.
I thought was a nice way of saying it's terrible.
No, I think she could have been expecting terrible.
Oh, that's a good point.
Because
Actually, the Rise of Skywalker.
Yeah, the thing I was reading most recently was that she had kept saying thanks, but I don't know that there would be anything that would interest me.
Mm.
And a few story ideas had come her way, and each time she had said, I think I'm okay leaving it where it was. And then she read this story idea and talked to whoever was going to direct it, and then she really got excited.
Interesting.
Yeah.
That is what they said about Crystal Skull, though.
Well, you like Crystal Skull more than any of us.
More than any of us. That's true. I do. I mean, I still don't think it was a good idea necessarily. But...
All right, ladies and gentlemen. Well, you're going to have to tell us what you think. You got a couple of pitches to go ahead and vote on. Find us on Facebook. Find us on Instagram. Don't find us anywhere else except Threads. And do the thread thing. Or send an email to everythingsequel@gmail.com.
Are you a hate listener?
Yeah. Do you like to hate listen?
Send us your hate email.
We'll read it.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Yeah. We relish it.
Absolutely, yeah.
Means someone's listening, hate or not.
Mm-hmm.
So when you hear us next, we will not be on this channel. You can find us on YouTube. We'll be talking about the posters.
That's right. Yeah. When you don't see a episode in your feed next week, just head over to YouTube and you'll see a video version of this podcast pop up where we'll be ranking Star Wars sequel posters.
And on that episode, we'll tell them what we're doing next, right? Not that it should be a surprise.
No, you could. Given the time of year, you could figure it out. But nonetheless, we will reveal what series we're tackling next.
Look forward to that, everyone. All right.
Mm-hmm.
For Tom Stewart of Lonesome Whistle Productions, Michael Shantz here of the How Dare You Awards. We'll be back. Say goodbye to everybody, Tom.
The dark side of the Force is a pathway to many abilities some consider to be unnatural.
Why say it twice? Why say it a second time in that movie?
Well, I had to say it at least once because I couldn't remember the wording on the actual episode. So I had to do that. I also wanted my final quotable to be a meta-quotable. So something where it's Palpatine quoting himself from another Star Wars movie.
That's great.
I like to think I know something about beer. But nowadays, even I get overwhelmed when confronted by the exhaustive selection of craft beers they have at bars, breweries, and even grocery stores. Back in the day you had one, maybe two craft beers to choose from, and if you were confused, you ordered a Guinness. But in beer destinations like San Diego, the craft beer options lay